All right, guys. Perfect. So this video, again, I'm just going to be showing you how we're going to grab an MP3 file, knowing what key it's in, and we're going to change the key so we can put it back on Playing Center so people can practice or sing along in the correct key. If you do not want this step, just skip over this video. This is the only thing we're going to talk about. Okay, so if you're ready, here we go. So we're going to be doing this with Ableton. Okay, if you have Pro Tools and Logic, there may be ways on how to do it there. I don't know. I only know how to essentially do it on Ableton. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up Ableton. You don't need the standard. You don't need the the better version. I forgot what it's called. The suite. Ableton Intro. You can also do it if you're a student. Ableton does Ableton free for students or at a very reduced cost. And Intro is only $100. And so, but here I am on Ableton. And so this is not an Ableton tutorial. I will just give you the very basics on how to do this on Ableton. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of this view and I'm going to go to my arrangement view or my session view, or whatever, whichever one. I forget what they're called. And so if I just click on this and I'm going to click on this. Okay, this is session view and this is arrangement view. I definitely want to go to arrangement view. So I can go over here and click on arrangement view, or you can just click tab on your keyboard mouse, on your keyboard, and it'll do it. So this is the view we want. Okay. Don't let these things be daunting. Okay. You have a MIDI file and you have an audio regular track file. I'm just going to delete the audio and one MIDI. And this is how I do it, just so you know. So we have an audio and a MIDI. The MIDI is important, and you'll see why in a second. Okay, perfect. So now that we're here, we need to drag in the song that we want. And so I'm going to go to my song library because that's where I'm going to type in Refiner. Okay, and here's the song. I'm going to click. And so in Ableton, you'll see here where it says drop files and devices here. So I'm going to click right here, and I'm just going to click on this song. And so if you notice here at the bottom, it's populating. So we can't do anything yet, okay? It's populating and it's just making sure that everything goes here. I'm going to just grab this folder and I'm going to put it here at the bottom and just take it out of view for a sec, okay? And so you'll see when it's done, what happens. There you go, perfect. So the color here changed. I'm actually going to grab this audio and take off because I don't need that. I want audio on top, MIDI on the bottom. Don't worry right now. I'm going to click right here in this space. We see where like the hand generates, and I'm going to drag it all the way to the back. All right, perfect. So now that I'm here, there are a few things. I'm going to double click on this, and now we get all this stuff at the bottom. Don't worry about it, all this stuff. We are going to worry about where it says warp. Right now the song is warped, so if I play it, look how that sounds. You're like, this sounds horrible. Is because right now it's warped. Don't worry about what that means. We're just going to uncheck warp. And there you go. Notice that there's some stuff that happened to it. If you didn't see it, you can just go back in the video. And there is a song in the correct tempo. Perfect. So now that the song is here on Ableton, okay, if you see this, I know it's brown. It could have been any color. Ableton usually generates regular, but any colors. But you see this magnifying glass. I'm gonna click, and on with my mouse, I'm essentially gonna like go down. So I'm gonna click, and I'm gonna go down, and notice that it zooms in. Or if I go up, it zooms out. And I want to be zoomed all the way out. Okay, that way I essentially can track this. So what I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna click on here where that hand generates. Notice that it's in between these things. And where it says warp on the bottom, it says beats. I'm going to go all the way to where it says we're either going to use Complex or we're going to use Complex Pro. Okay. Again, this is October 2nd, 2025. And so Ableton may have changed this if you're watching this 2-3 years from now, but I'm just going to click on Complex Pro. So Complex, you can change key. That's not a problem. But if you change the key too high or too low, it'll start sounding like Alvin and the Chipmunks. Okay. Complex Pro is usually, it's really good. I don't know how they do it, but it'll retain, like, you'll think that Chandler Moore actually sang it in a different key. It's pretty awesome. So, and I always try to go for this first, but there are a few reasons why. Sometimes if I click Complex Pro and I change the key, it'll start like it'll do like a really high pitched noise, and usually that means that there isn't enough data on the MP3. You download it like a very because there are many, you have an MP3, but you can have like a 256 kilobyte one, or you can have a 128 kilobyte. Obviously, the lower the number, the lower the quality, and the lower the quality, the lower it's really able to do to be able to change all this stuff, right? So like change the key and do it in a way that sounds good. That's what I mean. If you have no idea what I just said and you just like, dude, I just need to change this key, then we're gonna keep moving on. But I'm gonna click Complex Pro, and then I'm gonna click Warp again. Perfect. And so now I'm going to be able to change the key. So again, this is the key of E. And on the bottom, on these numbers here, do not use this wheel. Use the bottom. So we're going to click, and you know it's highlighted because these little cursor thingies start happening. Perfect. And I'm going to click 1 and click Enter. And so now it says +1. And so now this goes with the chromatic scale. So E, if I go +1 is F. If I go +2 is F sharp. If I go +3 is G. I can also go negative. So if I go negative, I can go -1, Enter. And so now, again, it still follows the chromatic scale. E, -1 is E flat, -2 is D, -3 is D flat, etc. Okay. Now, I know that if I go over here, I know that we're singing this in the key of E major, which is the original key. Okay, but let's say I also wanted it. Let's say that we're also going to sing it in F, for example. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click +1 or just 1 because it's already positive, and click Enter, and it says +1. And so when I play the song again, it's in a different key. It's in the key of F, and you can click and drag. Obviously, do not go below 12 because then now you just go in different octaves, right? And just rule of thumb, I don't like going more than -6 or more than +6. Okay, if it has to be, for example, 7, then it's gonna be 5, like -5. You know what I mean? Again, if you don't really understand that, that's okay. But don't go below -6 and don't go above 6. If you have to go more than -6, then you could have gone, instead of -6, you could have gone up, like +3 or whatever. So okay, perfect. But I'm gonna play it and I'm gonna start changing keys, and you're gonna start to see what's gonna happen. It's really, really cool. So now this sounds all really good. If you're getting like a really high pitched noise, like a tree, I know that sounds retarded. I mean, you might laugh. No, that's okay if you laugh. But if it sounds really bad on Complex Pro, then just go to Complex. Okay. And if you go to Complex, though, it will sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks, but at least it won't sound distorted. And as you can tell here, or if I go maybe like +4, notice that it doesn't sound like Chandler Moore anymore. Right? But if I go again to Complex, dude, +4 sounds like Chandler Moore sang this in this key. Yeah, so Complex Pro is awesome, but again, if you get in distortion, don't do it. Again, we just want this in the key of F, and I'm going to go +1, and that's why we put E major original, so we know what key it's in. Okay, perfect. And so what we're going to do next is then I'm going to skip over the MIDI portion of it, or I guess I'll skip over the MIDI portion of it. You don't really need it right now. There are other reasons why I use it. If you are interested in that, I'm just going to take 10 seconds to do it. I'm essentially going to highlight this section here. I'm going to do Shift Command M. And so now when I go to export, I'm not going to export here. I'm just going to export whatever. So like, let's say I just wanted a chorus. I don't want the whole song, right? Yeah, I guess you can also reduce the song here. I don't like to do that. If I just wanted a chorus, I can go over here. For example, let's just say we wanted this little bit here, right? Obviously, if you want, this isn't an Ableton tutorial, but essentially I'll I'll grab here instead of grabbing the whole song. If I select this and I'm going to do Shift Command R, it puts up my export settings, Shift Command R, and I'm on a Mac, right? And I like to disable, usually this is turned on. I don't want the WAV file, the AIF file. These are really big files, and this is just for Planning Center. So I take this off. I just use MP3, okay, just so you know. If I click export, it will not export the song. It'll only export, that's why we do MIDI. It'll only export this section. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult if you don't do this, and you, for example, you do this, right? And you, oh, well, I have it highlighted, and I'm gonna do Shift Command R. It won't do it. It'll do the whole song. But that's why I do MIDI, right? So MIDI really allows me to control, like if I just wanted this, now I can export just this. Okay, cool. That's why I do it. And then just so you know, obviously we're doing the full song for people to have. Okay, perfect. So that's just real quick. That's just explaining MIDI. So I'm going to click over here where this hand hovers. I'm going to click Shift Command R. All right. It's on MP3. I have wave off. I don't want this. It's too big, and it's not like if this is like a studio recording and other people are going to listen to it that are not the team, and it's going to be on the radio if that even exists, or Spotify, whatever, well, YouTube, etc. Then yes, you want to do this, but just for Planning Center purposes, an MP3 is fine. I'm going to click export, and it says, well, where do you want this? So first of all, I'm going to call this Refiner, and now it's in the key of F because I went +1. Okay. And so I'm gonna call it F major. I can't call it original because it's not the original key. All right. And obviously I have a folder called songs, song library, and however you want. Now this process might be different for everyone, but I'm just gonna find the Refiner. I'm sure there's a more efficient way to do it, but this is how I like to do it. And I'm gonna click save. So I don't have to click on this because these are the contents. I'm going to go ahead and click save, and it's going to start to render the audio or export the audio. Okay. And so I'm just going to click on my folder that I have down here. And as you can tell, when we brought in Ableton, the song in Ableton, it creates an ASD file. Notice here it says Ableton temporary file. It's adding it in there. But just so you know, that's what the ASD file is. It's Ableton's file. It's using this, but it creates also this. And there it is. There is the MP3, and there is the ASD. Okay. If you want it, like, let's say you're like, well, I want to export this in all 12 keys, for example, then you might want to make another folder that's called MP3s. That's called MP3s. And then you can just grab all these guys and you can stick them in there. Like, depends how much of a nut you want to organize your stuff. But that way it's clean. Here's all your sheet music. Here's your lyric. And if you go to MP3s, here are all of my MP3s. And so again, if I play this, this is in the key of F, by the way, not in the key of E. Because if I go here, yeah, so that's how I do it. And so now I'm going to grab this. I'm going to just go back to Safari. I'm going to go to Planning Center on Refiner, click Files, and I'm going to add F major into, again, we're not going to grab F major and stick it in F. We're going to leave it in the arrangement. That way, whatever key, like if other people want to practice in other keys or whatever, and I'll show you right now the reason why we do this. Is super important. Okay, so again, we do not do this. We leave it in arrangement. Okay, and I'm just going to refresh just so it populates faster. And it's right here. Here is E major original, and here is F, the MP3. Okay, so now perfect. So now that we finally have a full song, we're going to go back to the plan on Planning Center. Okay, and so I'm going to go to add song. I'm going to click Refiner. Maybe I should have done this in the other video. I'm going to click E. That's the key we're going to do it in. All right. Now, if I go to Files here, just so you know, this is what everybody sees in arrangement. And because I'm in the key of E, it'll also give me the key we're going to do it in. So for example, if I went to A flat, notice that it gives me, again, everything that I had in the main bucket, so to speak, and then it gives me the A flat one. So if I start doing the MP3s and other keys, like only specific, like F goes with F, E goes with E, For MP3s, they may not have access to it, and they won't. They only have access to what you, the admin or the editor, gave them access to. And it's just a really quick recap, and I'll probably recap it in the next video. But we have lyrics, we have the original MP3. If you want them to practice in another key, again, we use Ableton, and so here it is. Here are all the capo keys, C, D, E, and G, and here's the number chart. Okay, officially this song is complete and done. If it might feel like a lot of work, but in the next video, I'll do another song for extra practice, but I'll do it. You'll see how quickly it takes me. Okay, so again, I'm gonna click full song over here. Linda will be singing it. She's one of our singers, and the song is at 62. Okay, and so here I'm gonna put the BPM 62. And I'm just going to drag this where it would normally be. Okay, perfect. And that's how we do it.